All right, today I've got my Takomo 201T MK2 irons, and I've got my 301 CBs. We're gonna hit a bunch of shots with each and then compare the shot data. I'll make some comments about the feel of the irons, different things. We're really gonna dig deep into how each of these irons feels and performs, so you can make a good decision and know which of these Takomo irons suits your game. Let's get into it. These are the Takomo 301 CB and the 201T MK2 irons. And I just spent 2 full range sessions hitting both of them head to head with my Rapsodo launch monitor, tracking every shot because I needed to know if the new one deserves a place in my bag. And I'll be honest with you with my bias up front, I love my 301 CB irons. It's going to take a lot for me to want to switch these out for the 201Ts. All right, I want to give you a quick rundown on what these two actually are, because on paper, they're closer than you'd think. The 301 CB is the player's cavity back. One piece, forged from soft carbon steel, thin top line, minimal offset, traditional lofts. It's built for golfers who strike it pretty well and want control, feel, and a little perimeter weighting insurance compared to a straighter blade. This is the iron that puts Takomo on the map. It's the one people compare to clubs costing twice as much. If you watch a lot of YouTube golf, you know that Wes Bryan and George Bryan used the 301 CBs. And the 201T MK2 is a newer line that Takomo recently released. It's a player's precision iron. It's a hollow body with a faster face. But here's the thing that makes this comparison genuinely interesting. They did not jack the lofts. So the 201T's 7 iron is 33 degrees. My 301 is 34. So if one of these hits it further, it's earning that distance with the club head, not with a loft sticker. One of the design details that's going to matter a lot when we get to the data section, the 201T has tungsten low in the 4 through 7 iron to launch the long clubs, and steel weighting up higher in the 8 iron through wedge to flight the scoring clubs down for control. Remember that, it shows up in my numbers in a way I didn't see coming. One thing I will say, with the 201Ts, I got stiff shafts instead of X, and they feel so much lighter. I've got the regular size grips, I don't have mid-size, I have the regular, and I have stiff shafts, and these feel much more dainty, much more fragile. Some of that's the shaft, some of that's the grip, maybe all of it, but that's a big difference for me right now. So who is each one of these clubs for? So Takomo says the 201T is for 0 to 15 handicaps, and the 301 CB leans toward the better ball striker. I'd say if you're a 12 or above and your contact is still streaky, the 201T's hollow body is going to be a little bit friendlier for you. If you're inside 10 and you already flush it more often than not, the 301 CB is the purer tool. But that's the brochure version. Let's talk about what they actually feel like. The one cool thing about these 201Ts, they have more tech built into them, but they have a slimmer profile. So sleek and sexy. Even though it's got more tech built into it, they made it look a lot smaller profile. So if you like that, that's a big point for the 201. So my initial impression, swinging both of these clubs side to side, is that the 301 CB feels more like a tank. It's sturdy, it's hefty, it's strong. When you flush one, it feels like the ball never had a chance. Some of that is the head, some of that honestly is my build. With the X-Flex shafts and heavier setup, it does make the whole club feel a little bit more planted. Swinging it feels like swinging something substantial, and for me that's a confidence thing. I know exactly where that club head is the whole way down. The 201T is a different animal. It feels whippier, livelier, lighter through the ball. Again, part of that is going from the X-Flex to stiff, no question. But my first thought after several swings was, if I were fighting to build club head speed, if I were an older player or someone whose iron distances have been shrinking, this is the version of a player's iron I'd want. It feels like the club is helping you generate speed instead of asking you to bring all of it yourself. And at address, they are both beautiful. Thin top lines, clean backs, no paint fill circus. If you handed these to your buddy with the logos taped over, he'd guess they cost twice what they do. But feel is feel and looks are looks. I don't put clubs in my bag based on vibes. Let's get to the part that actually settles it. Alright, so I took these clubs to the range for 2 separate sessions. Being a 10 handicap, I'm not puring the ball every time, so I do want to see some of that variance in my data. I'm going to give you the whole picture, and then I'll show you the 3 findings that actually matter. Okay, so in terms of carry distances, I did find that the levels as I went to longer clubs were a little bit more consistent with the 201Ts actually. This surprised me. I feel very confident with my 301s, and the 201Ts, because they're light, I didn't feel the same level of confidence. However, when we actually look at the data and the carry distances here, you can see that the 201Ts step up pretty consistently, 38, 50, 60, 70, until we get to the 6.5 and 4 iron. All of those carried right around 185. The difference, of course, being the launch angle. So when we go over to our total distances with the 201s, it's a little bit cleaner. So pitch and wedge 147, 9 iron 160, 8 170, 7 184, 6 201, 5 201, 4 210. It's not a perfect dispersion, but it's pretty solid. And then we take a look at the 301s, and they weren't quite as consistent. My 8 iron was carrying a little further than my 7 iron. I was not hitting the ball great with the 7 iron. And then like the 201s, the 6, 5, and 4 all had pretty similar carry distances. But then again, when we go over and look at the totals, with the 301s, 140, 160, 170, 170, 197 with the 6 iron, 194 with the 5, 213 with the 4. So a little less consistent, a little less perfect. The data for my 201s actually is a more clean data point for total distances. This was a shock to me. Now, the second thing I want to point out with the data, my 301s did carry longer with the 8 iron and the 9 iron. Everything else, the 201s had a little bit longer carry. And that goes back to what I was telling you about the 201s, having the steel in their 8 iron through wedge, making it more flighted. So it did make it a little easier to grab a little more distance with the 301s. Now, my opinion, distance, how far you can hit your irons, it just doesn't matter. What matters with your irons is knowing how far that club goes and being able to replicate that consistently. And for me, the 301s win with that. So these charts, we're looking at averages here. The 201s, the extremes were higher and lower. The 301s, it was a lot tighter with the whole data set. I would much rather have that than have more distance, but more spread apart, because I want to rely on my irons and know when I hit this club, I can count on it to fit in this smaller range of distances. And in that area, the 301s win, and that's what I care about the most. Now, looking at the peak height of my ball flight, which gives me stopping power, the 301s were consistently better, which was very interesting to me because on the 301s, I also have the C-taper shaft, which is supposed to flight the ball a little bit lower. So when I got these 201s, I thought for sure they were going to have higher ball flight, and you can see on the data here, that just wasn't the case. Granted, they did win on the 7 iron, but you can see with my distances, I just did not hit the 7 iron well with the 301s in this small data set of testing. So, the 301s for me flew higher, even though I had a shaft designed to fly it lower. That could be the X-Flex staff. That could be in part due to the X-Flex shaft. It could be due to a number of things, but that's a big deal for me too. So far, I can trust my 301 distances tighter, and I have a higher peak height with the 301s, which I like because I like getting more stopping power. I want the carry versus the total to be more on par with each other. Okay, so the 301s flew the 8 iron 14 feet higher and landed almost 5 degrees steeper. Same story in the 9. Now with that weighting design, the 201T's short irons are deliberately built with a higher center of gravity to flight the ball down for control. And my data says that's exactly what they do. So the 201T gives you a flatter, more penetrating flight in the scoring clubs, and the 301 gives you height and stopping power. On soft greens, the 301 is landing next to the hole and staying there. In the wind, I might want the 201Ts for a little bit more control. Now that was very interesting because my 301s, I also have the C-taper shafts, which supposedly flight the ball lower. But in this testing, the ball was clearly flying higher with the 301s, which I actually like for the stopping power. So where did I land? Honestly, I see a ton of value in the 201Ts. If it showed up in my bag tomorrow, I'd play it happily and confidently. The mid-iron distance is real. The feel is livelier than I expected from a hollow body. And if my swing speed ever starts heading the wrong direction, I know exactly which iron I'm going for, 201T. But I am still in love with my 301CBs. The strong tank-like feel, the height in the scoring irons, the way they stop on a green, that's my game, and the data backed up what my gut already knew. So to switch, I needed to see the 201T do better than the 301 for my swing. And it didn't do worse, but it didn't do better. So as of right now, I'm keeping the 301s in my bag. Last thing I want to talk about, and it's the same thing I always tell you, none of this even matters if irons aren't where you're losing strokes. Before you go spend a bunch of money on a new set of irons, spend one range session finding out where your weakness is. I built the Scratch app to do exactly that. The app has 6 different tests built into it that show you exactly where your game leaks. And you can get it at this link right here. And if you want to join our email list, you'll be the first in line when our App Store app drops. That's coming in just a couple weeks, and it is a powerful tool. It's got a play session to track your strokes gained, a practice session to measure where you need to improve, and a test session to see if you are improving, if you're moving in the right direction in each of the 6 different skills in your golf game. It's really awesome, you guys. I am stoked about this app. If you want to be the first to know when it comes out in the App Store, sign up for our email list at thescratchplan.com. And if you want to get your hands on the web app in the meantime, here's a link right here. And if you want to know more about the Takomo 301CB irons, check out this video right here. I dive deep into what they can do for your game on the course as well. And Ben Hogan's 5 lessons. He promises you'll break 80 in 6 months by following these. It worked for me. Whenever I focus on Hogan's lessons, I play my best golf. Check that video out, check out our app, and I'll see you next time.